Alright guys, so this is a oil change, which is basically the same procedure for any car. Just find out what type of oil change you have, what it calls for in your filter. This is for a 2002 Mazda Millenia 626. So to get started, here is the 17 millimeter drain bolt. We're just going to adjust the pan, crack it loose. For some reason I just became weak because I can't even break it loose. There we go. And here goes my phone. Not that I'm promoting STP or anything, but if anything, this is the oil filter size you need for your application for this engine. Of course, you can get the bigger ones, like Canon. Alright, so it's leaking. This is gonna gush out. And for those that are interested, of course, this is a 1030 oil viscosity. Alright, so we're just gonna let it drain in there. Not much is required for this type of oil change. See if I can get you over here. There is the oil filter. You may need a wrench for it and break it loose. Not that bad, but if you use good oil, your application may call for every 3,000 to 5,000. Just let it drain. This might take a few times. I mean, a few moments. Let it drain. Then, of course, you put the plug back in. I usually like to take the oil cover out from the top of the engine so air can get in there and drain faster. But it's almost towards the end. I like to put it back on so no debris from the air gets into the engine. So I'll do that right now. Alright, so once it's completely drained, or for the most part, try to have a rag or something like that to clean any leftover oil on the pan. There we go. Your oil bolts, especially for Hondas, depending on the car, it may actually call for a washer. I strongly encourage you to actually replace it. Oil is not so expensive. You may actually go to Honda and get it. I mean, the guys usually over there, they're pretty cool about it. They give me a crush wash anyways. So it's something that I encourage a lot. So let's do that, guys. I will actually put the correct oil weight in the video's description. Again, this bolt is not to be over torqued. You don't want to break your oil pan, which, by the way, is just a bit expensive. You're down here. This is just the leftover of my little mess of the seal when it broke. So, you know, you don't have to be meticulous as I am, but I like to clean since I'm already here. So let's move over to the filter right here, and it didn't leak in this past oil change. All I did was tighten it by hand oil, it is gonna come out through here, so just make sure that you do have something to catch it. Make sure you're doing this on a cold engine. I'm doing this right now, it's pretty warm, so have a rag or something just in case. I usually have the bad luck of course it's already draining, I broke it loose, of draining through my arm. Just like I said. And all I did was go out to get some parts. I let it rest for about 3 hours, brought the car inside, and this oil is still hot. So just be careful, guys. Not a big deal, I don't mind oil in my hands, but it can be hot. Pretty hot. So usually what I like to do is push it upwards as I'm unbolting it, and you're gonna feel it when it's out. If I'm not mistaken, this is a very deep one. It's just let it drain. So I'm gonna let it drain. I actually do not have the oil for this, so I'm gonna go to the parts store, get the right oil, of course, for this car, and I'll bring you along with filling the car in with fresh oil. Alright, to the filter, I'm just gonna put a little bit in there. Make sure the seal is covered with a light bead of oil so it can seal. Excuse my nephew for having way too much fun back there. Okay, I'll find a place to set you guys here. And slide in. Here we go. Hopefully you guys can see well. And just screw it in. Make sure it's not cross thread or anything. Just make sure it's tight. Do not overkill it. Alright, in the other video you're gonna see that I actually replaced the seal from the cylinder head, and as you can see, this is the mess that it can create over time. It's just a small leak. We're gonna clean that, of course, and so far we're done with the oil filter. We're gonna check for the bolt, of course. We're gonna check here after we run the engine to see if we have any new leaks. Pour some oil in here. And that's all she wrote for the oil change. Make sure you check your owner's manual or specs for your vehicle to see exactly how many quarts your engine takes, and move on. You know, I'm gonna take you over a few things where you should check for every time you do an oil change or in between oil changes. Radiator fluid here. Usually they come with markings telling you when actually it's low or hot at a given temperature. Just make sure that you take a quick once over at the hoses to see what is actually broken, what's not, what's cracked. Check your hoses and your belts. This is the brake fluid container. Make sure that it's not burnt. Power steering, which I will make a video soon in what exactly calls for a flush. Wind washer fluid, we just did the oil. Check the batteries, make sure that nothing is rusty or corroded. Filter, and if your vehicle calls for a cabin filter or any other filters, go for those as well. Just again, quick over, check them. And that is all she wrote for today's video. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Your time, of course, is always appreciated. And of course, once you're done with the oil change, run the car. And just make sure that you have no leaks at all. Where we're checking leaks at the filter and at the pan.